Let's begin this way. Mr. Prime Minister, you lead the most popular party in the European Union. You won more votes in the last parliamentary election than even Angela Merkel. You stand for reform and for growth. What does Europe stand for, and can you change it?
We must absolutely change our country, because Italy is an incredible country, rich of gorgeous masterpieces, rich of incredible opportunities. But we need a future. We don't think only about the past. So for this reason, reforms means an Italy more efficient, more smart, not only an Italy beauty, an Italy open. Reform is the first thing for us. And without a reform in Italy, it's impossible for us to imagine a different Europe. But with the reforms in Italy, it's possible, it's necessary. Change the way for the Europe. Europe now is blocked. We need a vision for the next Europe with an investment in growth, not only in austerity.
So, you have the EU presidency for the next 3 months. What are your priorities?
There are few important things to do, but maybe the priority is understand the role of Europe around the world. The role of Europe in a moment very difficult with relation with Russia after the aggression in Ukraine. We have a lot of importance for us about the relation between the new international coalition in Iraq and in Syria, but maybe the most important priority is the Mediterranean area, the area of our sea, in which we must absolutely invest with more determination. And the Mediterranean means a relation with Egypt, with Libya, and this is a big problem in this moment. And with other countries, we stay at our borders.
So for you, with the EU presidency, it's more important to worry about Egypt and Libya than it is necessarily about Syria and Iraq, or perhaps even Russia.
I think in this moment there is a framework, international, very complicated, and so all is important. But if you think about my personal position, I think there are an undervaluation of crisis in Libya. Absolutely an undervaluation. And I think we must fight against terrorism in Syria, in Iraq, with the international coalition, but also in the other countries, for example Libya, and in general give a message of hope for these countries, because after the Arabian Spring, nothing is changed. And we must absolutely invest in with this priority. Obviously, it's not a race between Libya and Syria. There are not a ranking of problems. But you told me, what is the priority for Italy as presidency? Change the perception of Europe in the direction of Mediterranean.
For you to achieve what you want in Italy, two things have to happen. You have to reform the country, the labor market, the constitution, the bureaucracy, the civil bureaucracy, and more. And you need flexibility from your fellow EU leaders. Can you have that flexibility to spend a little bit more so that you don't have to meet such rigid targets for debt and deficit without first achieving reform in Italy?
When Germany decided to make reforms, 2003, Germany's leader decided to have a flexibility respecting the agreements of the past. In 2003, Germany decided don't respect the 3%, the average of parameters of European laws. Now we respect 3%, so our flexibility is not in the 3% in other things. Our flexibility is in the mind. We need a different leadership with a vision open about the future of Eurozone. In this moment, the Eurozone lost positions in the ranking. Why? Because we are stopped and blocked. We need a different idea of future for Europe. But I'm believable only if I present myself an idea of revolution in Italy. Without the reforms in Italy, it's impossible for me to be believable in Europe.
So you need the moral authority first. You need to show that you can change Italy before you have the moral authority to ask for change in Europe.
I show Italy because it's important for my country, not because it's important for me. But I absolutely agree. We must change Italy to give the message it's possible to change Europe.
Now, how do you change Italy? You had early success getting support for your reform agenda, but you face enormous obstacles now, including from within your own party.
It's normal in Italy because few people believe important bloc the leader. This is the history of my country in the last years. So we change a few times government, but we cannot change country until this moment. I absolutely convinced we must change this perception. What is the way? Very easy. A strong determination, a lot of courage, and the ability to involve the young people. Because for the first time, if there is a prime minister under 40 in Italy, this is not a message for the age. This is a message for the change. This is a message because finally we can invest in a new generation against the old generations of the past. So there is a young Italy who believe in the future. We love the past, but we believe in the future.
The youth might embrace your message of change, but the unions so far have not. How do you overcome that opposition? Or are you willing to compromise?
I respect all ideas, and I respect also the ideas of unions. The compromise is not a bad word. We can achieve a compromise if necessary. In this case, compromise is not the way. In this case, we must absolutely invest in a new modality of invest in labor market in Italy. We have legislation very strong to defend workers in Italy, but in the last 6 years, the number of unemployers are doubled. 12.6% of unemployment, 43% of youth unemployment. Dramatic numbers are lost. So, this is not the time of compromise, this is the time of courage.
So no compromise with the unions. That's one flank of your battle. The other, of course, is with the Senate. You need the Senate to cooperate with you to advance your legislative agenda. What's your relationship like with Silvio Berlusconi?
Berlusconi is the former prime minister in Italy, you know, everybody knows, but is also the leader of a party of minority, is my opposition. I think when you write the new legislation, the new modality for constitution or for electoral law, everybody must stay on the table for discuss. It's impossible to write the legislation of elections without other party, because the players of the match are two. It's impossible for only one to write alone the legislation. It's impossible in the baseball, or in the football, or in the soccer, as in Italy. Write the legislation, write the laws without other players. So, the relation with Berlusconi is that I hope the party of Berlusconi signed an agreement for the constitution and for the electoral law. And in this system, in this normal system, we must then play a different match. Obviously, for me, is absolutely important in this moment to give an hope for the young and employer. But I know also the new constitutional legislation and new electoral law could be an help to arrive to this goal.
Mr. Prime Minister, would it help you to call an election, to win a new popular mandate to advance your goals?
Now is not the time of election in Italy. We must absolutely respect the timeline of Constitution. The next election will be in 2018, and I'm absolutely committed to arrive at this goal, because usually in Italy there is the traditional approach: okay, we have a problem, we go to the election. No, we have the problem, we solve the problem. Elections are every 5 years, and we must change electoral law to give a message very clear about who is the winner, who is the loser. I know in American TV it's impossible to understand the importance of this statement, because it's normal. There are a winner and a loser in the election. In Italian political system, not. Everybody, after elections, will in the TV, watch the camera and said, okay, I am the winner. Everybody wins. Now, we must change, and we give simplicity to the Italian system.
A question for you about your countryman, Mario Draghi. He saved the euro. How much more can he realistically do to stimulate the European economy?
I think the decision of Mario Draghi are a good decision. Obviously, in this moment, European Central Bank is not a Federal Reserve. It's a Federal Reserve has a lot of powers, more than European Central Bank. But the decision of Draghi, of President Draghi, to increase the stimulus to the economy are good decisions. For the future, I think the first thing in this moment is realize structural reforms in every country. And this is the commitment. Now the situation is in the hands of the government, not in the European Central Bank. Draghi make very important things. Now the responsibilities of government.
Is that to say he shouldn't go forward with quantitative easing, or it wouldn't be effective?
I think the recent decisions about a similar quantitative easing, in my personal opinion, are good, those decisions. So we will verify the results after the first months and after the period in which banks decided about relation with the small and medium entrepreneurs. For the moment, it's impossible to give a judgment until the first concrete results.
Now, about Russia. Are the sanctions against Russia working?
I think it's not a problem of sanctions or not sanctions. The problem now is understand the relation between Russia and Europe, Russia and the USA. The aggression against Ukraine was a terrible mistake by Russia. Now there is a period of ceasefire. It's important because it's the first moment of a good moment after a lot of months. I hope finally the ceasefire will continue and we arrive to a peace agreement for Ukraine and Russia and in general for that area. I'm not sure if this could be very could realize very quickly. But I'm confident because for the first time I saw the first symbols of a new period. And in this case we will verify the situation about sanctions and between relation Russia-Europe.
At what point should Europe begin to roll back the sanctions?
The decision of government was to bring the same position with the United States, and in the next weeks we will verify the situation in the meetings of European leaders and European ambassadors. I hope we can bring back very quickly. Not for reaction in economy, important, obviously, important for few fields for Italy, but for the message we give absolutely, we consider absolutely important. Europe and Russia, USA and Russia, after 1989, built a common strategy. I think if there is a symbol of peace finally, we can come back to a different position.
Mr. Prime Minister, you're here in New York City for the UN General Assembly. This is a group of people who have been used to listening to big promises from Italian politicians and seeing very little done for decades. What is your message to these people, to the rest of the world this week?
I don't use very important words. I decided to invest in the only strategy possible. Invest in a radical revolution for my country. I obtained 41% last elections. I will use all the consensus to change my country. So I'm not a man who came in your city to spend a lot of words about the future. I began with a radical revolution of labor market, of a radical revolution of constitutional system, of a radical revolution of public administration, who change an investment in the future. I am absolutely convinced I use this 41% to change my country, and if I'm not able to change my country, I'm not able to continue with the political life.
Mr. Prime Minister,
thank you so much.
Thank you very much.